Hey guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to another episode of Chatter from the Vox, our weekly podcast coming live to you on Twitch. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you've missed it. It was last night, about 24 hours ago on Twitch. And we're doing this every single week as a live podcast. So every single week, me and one or two of the Mikeys normally get together and we do a live podcast and we talk about all things 40k, don't we?
We do indeed.
Basically. So a big welcome to Mikey P.
Hello, thank you.
And tonight we've decided we're going to talk a little bit about the two Vigilus books. So we've got Vigilus Defiant and Vigilus Ablaze in our possession here. Kind of a roundabout backdoor way of being able to talk a little bit about Chaos, because Vigilus Ablaze has got lots of Chaos formations. But essentially there's a topic that's burning in people's minds, it seems, at the moment, about formations in 8th edition and whether they're a good or a bad thing. Or
are they the boogeyman?
Yeah. Now, I know my business partner from deploymentzone.tv, Winters, I know he thinks they're a bad thing. I think they're a good thing. So him and I have got very differing views. So we're going to read through a few of them, pick a couple of them out, have a bit of a chat about them, and basically say, do we think these are good for the hobby, good for the game, or do we think they're a bit broken? We'll discuss that later. But this is this episode. That's what we're going to cover. Like I say, if you're watching this on YouTube, we do this every week on Twitch. This is currently a Sunday. We are looking in the future at possibly making the regular night Mondays.
Yeah.
Because most people that have spoken to me say that Mondays work for them better, and actually they probably work for me and you better as well, don't they?
Yeah, probably just slightly.
Now, because of my shift pattern, 1 week in every 4, I still work nights on Monday, so we'd have to do that on a Sunday, but you get the gist. Most of it will be on Sundays. After tonight, at some point tomorrow in the morning, I will update the Twitch homepage, and it will give you the schedule for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you'll know when the stream is. So that works, right?
Works for me.
Perfect. So if you aren't a subscriber on Twitch, come and find us on Twitch. Find Morehammer Liam, click follow. You'll get notifications when we go live. You can come and join us every Sunday night. And as you can see on the side of the screen, the chat fills up and they all chat to us and we engage about what we're talking about, whether it's formations or whatever it might be. And that's the crux of it, really, isn't it?
Yes.
Your other option, of course, is to come and join us on Patreon. There will be a link in the video description below if you are on YouTube. There's also a link below if you're on the Twitch page. And you can come and join us on Patreon and join our busy hobby Discord. And we're starting to have a bit of an overhaul as to the rewards and stuff you get for the different levels. So check them out, have a look at them, maybe come and join our community because it's full of legends.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome people. So, and most of the guys that you can see in the chat are also patrons or in Discord. So. Finally, the one thing I will say, as I mentioned it already, is we have a website, www.deploymentzone.tv. You'll see it across the top of the screen. That's mine and Winters' website. We stick battle reports on every single week on a Tuesday. One me, one him, one me, one him. Like that all the time. We've got big debates that me and you have been doing recently, Mikey P.
Yep. And
we've also noticed that Brom's crap at them. And
to be fair, you set him up pretty badly.
Yeah. There's loads and loads of stuff on there behind the scenes and top tips and stuff. So that's about that. Anyway. One thing I will touch on before we go into the main content of this video is that we have been doing a charity fundraising raffle for the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
So Mikey P sat next to me, and one of the wonderful patrons, Mr. Andy Byrne, or AP Byrne, if you see him in the chat, are in a few weeks' time. It's June, July?
July, yeah. Got a while to go yet, but yeah,
so in July, so you've got some decent fundraising time left.
Yes.
In July, they are walking 100,000...
No, just 100 kilometres.
Yeah,
that's far enough.
Yeah, 100,000 metres.
Yeah, okay.
100. That's where I was going.
Yeah,
Mikey, clearly,
yeah,
it's
right,
not
yeah.
that I've done 12 hours at work. And I'm
good save.
100 kilometres in 2 days. So what we've done is we've got hold of a brand new Shadow Spear from Element Games.
Yep.
The brand new box that's not just long come out. They gave us one to give to you guys as part of this raffle prize. So it was £5 a ticket. We've been collecting money for the last 4 weeks. We have 54 entrants.
Yep.
54 entrants.
54 tickets. Yeah.
54 tickets. So each ticket's a 1 in 54 chance, essentially, of winning this this box. There's lots of people that have given it a bash. So I've compiled a nice spreadsheet in order of when people bought the ticket from 1 to 54. And we found a random number generator on Google, which we're going to give to Mikey in a minute. Yeah. And then he's going to do the draw live, and then the winner will be the person who I post this box out. So we're going to give a £105 box of Shadow Spear models to a guy for a £5 raffle ticket. And the proceeds are all going to Parkinson's UK, which is the charity you're doing the 100k walk for, yeah?
That's right, yes.
Perfect. And I am proud to announce, because obviously the The donations are now closed.
They are.
So all future donations now will go to the channel directly. So the donations are now are closed. And we have raised, as a channel, for your charity, a total of £270
Yeah, which is really awesome.
I'm really chuffed with that.
Yeah, I'm well chuffed with that. It's amazing.
So tomorrow morning we will drop that into your charity fund. And I had a look at it earlier, and that takes you to just by pence, just shy of £800 out of your £1,000 target.
That's it.
Aren't we awesome?
I know.
The channel that keeps on giving. Okay. So what we're going to do now, don't go anywhere, is we're going to jump to a Be Right Back screen that's not working properly. Because why would it?
Yeah.
Why would it just work for me?
Seamless.
And then when you come back onto screen, once I've taught Mikey what to do, it will be the draw, the raffle draw. Mikey's going to do the raffle draw, and then I'm going to steal the limelight again because that's
fine.
It's all about me, right?
So when we come back, you need to be wearing your sunglasses because the glare off my head is going to be enormous.
Yeah. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Ooh, smooth.
Yeah.
Like hey guys. Yes, so smooth. Hi guys. So we're going to do this the random draw. Okay. So we've got Google number generator, which I've got over here, and Liam's gonna man it for me.
No.
What are you doing?
I'm just going to give you the screen that shows you the number generator.
Wait.
And turn off the.
Hang on.
The chat box. If I can find it.
Doing it on the fly.
Are you ready?
There it is.
Are you ready?
Go for it.
Look at that.
Ooh.
It's good how that works, isn't
it? So smooth. Cool. So you can see here we've got the number generator here. You see my cursor?
If you click it a few times and they'll see it.
There we go. Generate. There you go. Ooh, 54, 52, 4.
Yeah.
There we go. So it only does even numbers. So anyone with an odd number is screwed.
It does only do even numbers.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, so anyway, what we're going to do now is I'm just going to hit generate. Number 3.
Oh dear. Now if you scroll down to the little spreadsheet, look.
Yeah.
And then you can see and go up.
These are all the names. These are all tickets. Who's number 3? Who's it going to be? Oh.
Andy Byrne.
Andy Byrne.
Oh dear.
You son of a gun.
So he's asked for a drum roll. I don't know if he's actually seen yet that it's going to. We're going to go back to the proper live scene.
Yeah, I think it's landed. Simon says fix.
Yeah, it might be. Now, it's obviously, Andy Byrne is the one walking.
He is. So and probably for some of it carrying me as well.
Yeah, so now he's got that really awkward, horrible, sweaty moment where he says, I'm happy with it, I've won the competition, it's for me.
Yeah.
Or we redraw.
Yeah.
It's entirely up to Andy Byrne.
What do you think, Andy?
I mean, I'm more than happy to send it to him as well, because he does deserve it. He did buy tickets.
Well, yeah, but I just, we'll let him sweat.
We'll just let him sweat for a bit on YouTube and have the camera look
have to build it while walking. Wow.
I'd pay to watch that.
That would be like the definition of a botched job.
If we could create like a shoulder strap, chest-mounted tray,
so
he could actually build what's walking.
Definitely, yeah, like in like American movie theatre things, selling peanuts. Yeah,
I'd be all up for that. That'd be good. I don't think he's answering. I think he's just too shy.
I think he's too busy thinking, yes.
Yeah, poor old Andy.
That's 2 only a kill teams. Redraw it. Nah, good man.
Andy, you sure you want to redraw it?
I mean, he's going to look like a right ass hat if he doesn't. We don't redraw it.
So we know where Mikey P sits on this one. Is it just because you didn't win? I don't know if he's going to make. It's
not even there.
I don't know if he's going to. You might have to make a decision for him. Okay, so he's gone for the redraw.
Good.
So we'll transition back across to the draw screen, and we're going to generate again.
Okay.
And I think Andy's like numbers 2 and 3, so you can't generate number 2 or 3 again.
20. Okay, cool. Who
is good.
Number 20? That is
John Phillips. Here we go.
There we go, John.
So John Phillips,
nice box set for you.
Patreon, has got a box set with 2 armies that he doesn't collect.
Fantastic.
So that'll be useful for him.
Trade him in with some guardsmen. Some metal Mordians.
Yeah. So Mordian John, I'm sure if you are a Warhammer Discord member, you'll probably see 2 halves of Shadow Spear up for sale soon.
Very soon. Yeah.
Cool. Happy with that.
Thank you guys. That's really cool. So we'll get that sent out to you, John. Looking forward to it.
And we're back with the pro scene now. That's the whole point.
Woo!
So, Mordian John, congratulations on winning the Warhammer charity raffle.
Well deserved.
Yours is 1 ticket that went towards the £270 we raised for Parkinson's UK. And I've actually really enjoyed doing a charity raffle.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
So it might be that we do a couple more in the future just for random charities. I
We,
just think that's
yeah,
nice.
you get the feel goods, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's a really nice thing to do. So,
Yeah,
and it
totally.
does make me feel good, and it does make me feel like it's justified. And also, if you look at the ticker tape across the bottom of the screen, it makes me look popular as well. So there's that too.
Well, you know,
right. So yeah,
helps you delude yourself. Yeah,
pretty much. So John, I'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Although John has said he wants to come on the channel soon with his Mordians. So depending on how soon we sort that out, maybe you can just come pick the box up.
Come and collect it.
I'll chat to you about it after the stream anyway. I'll drop you a message on Discord or possibly WhatsApp, and I'll have a chat to you about how we're going to get it to you and how you want it. We'll worry about that later. Meanwhile, we're going to move on to the main meat of our podcast today. We're going to move on to our main topic.
Yes.
Formations in 8th edition. So, brief overview first, because we're going to cover sort of the background as to how, sort of what these are, where they come from, and why the hate exists, I think.
Yeah.
So some of you will and won't know. It depends on your experiences. Some of you will know that formations are a massive thing in 7th edition. Some of you won't, because some of you have only returned in 8th.
Yeah.
So a bit of a sort of overview, I guess, a bit of a sort of background.
This
for
is
it.
good because I'm an 8th returner like many people. So
Yeah, I think
I know of formations from 7th, but I don't really have a great understanding of exactly what they mean. So a little bit of recap would be good.
I think there's probably a fair few people that are in your boat, Mikey P, as well, who were not playing in 7th edition and have come back in 8th. Now, 8th is most certainly the most simplified version of the rules that I think I've ever played. And I've played, I think, since 4th, but I don't remember what edition it was when I played. I was just playing a version of the game.
Sure.
The first proper rule book I bought myself was 5th, and then I played 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Okay.
7th edition, they introduced this brand new thing called formations. So with 7th edition, the codexes were out like we had now, and then we had essentially the rule book, and then you had for a while things called Altars of War. Altars of War were a 4 or 5 page document you could pick up on things like iBooks, and basically it gave you options to have additional relics, warlord traits, that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So they weren't that bad. And then they introduced formations, mostly in the way of campaign books to start with. So what they were doing was they were picking factions, and they had bolt-on abilities if you bought this campaign book, and you could use your army in a specific way. Now, what a formation was in 7th edition was very different to this. It was essentially free to take, with the exception of you kind of had a unit tax. And what I mean by that is you had a formation, and that formation said you must take this many units. 0 to 1 of these, 0 to 3 of these, 1+ of these, etc.
Okay. And that's specific named units.
Yeah, and they would give you specific units that you must take to fulfill that formation.
Okay.
And then if you took all of the minimum requirements for those units, you gained access to special rules. And it could be anything.
Right.
The special rule could be anything from this formation can reroll failed to hits, full stop.
Sure, okay.
Stuff like that. So it gave you benefits. I'm trying to be very generic here rather than specific about certain formations, partly because I'm just trying to give you a brief overview, and partly because I can't completely remember some of the formations. I used to run one that was a seer council, for example, 2 farseers, and I think it was 5+ warlocks, and you gained bonus to casting powers and stuff like that. So that was just one of them.
I mean, it sounds cool.
In principle, I thought it was very good, and I liked the option that they were going to give you what I considered narrative options through formations. In practice, especially having done some tournaments in 7th edition, it wasn't that well executed. It was, for some armies, pretty broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darren, Toys Toy God in the chat, has mentioned the Riptide formation. That was one of them for Tau. If you saw a competitive Tau army in 7th edition, they tended to have a Riptide formation and a drone net, amongst other things. It was one of those things where if you were a Tau player trying to compete, it was an auto-include.
Sure.
Now, I think anything, and I mean near enough anything, that becomes an auto-include that isn't for the reason of, for example, mandatory troops and mandatory HQ, is a negative for the game.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I love about 40k, one of my most favourite things about this as a hobby, is variety and variation. And across the however many different factions we've got, 15, 16, 17 factions that exist within the game, you can have 10 players who will play 10 different armies. I love that kind of variation. If you then introduce a formation that becomes an auto-include, some of that variation dies, and you don't have that variation anymore. So I thought, for that respect, it was quite negative. And some of the bonuses they gave you were just stupid good. They were just so good, it was silly. So
it seems like there were certain things that if you didn't take them, then you're basically tying your own arm behind your back.
Massively, yeah. And And the thing is yeah, well, basically that. If you didn't take formations, if you didn't use them, because we've complained a bit about in 8th edition about codex creep.
Yeah.
On occasion, and I know a lot of people have complained a little bit harder than I have about codex creep. To some extent, I think it's a thing, but there's anomalies in there that means it's obviously not intentional. I don't think, because there are anomalies within these codexes that are still performing strong to this day, and they've been released ages ago. So, so codex creep, formation creep seems to be a thing. That I believed in more as a creep than current codex creep, and there were certain things that were just ridiculous. Space Marines had a couple of formations. I think it was the Battle Demi Company or something like that it was called. And basically, if you took the minimum units, which were essentially Devastators, Assault Marines, and Tactical Marines, so you take them anyway, you got free transports.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So Razorbacks were for bog standard were free, and all you ever paid for was weapon upgrades. You could essentially add 200-300 points of extra models to your army for free.
Yeah, that does sound
in a tournament environment.
Kind of sounds cool, but also sounds really hard to balance.
It's very hard to balance. I'm sure a couple of them will see, or will have known of some others. There's a couple already in here. Skyhammer and Elysian Strike Force, that was horrendous. Being able to basically deep strike on turn 1 with Devastators that then didn't suffer the penalty and didn't have to snap fire and etc. There was loads and loads of cheesy stuff that existed, you know. Okay. So they weren't great. So when 8th edition came in and wiped the slate clean, a lot of us, and myself included, honestly, even though I'd built some of these formations, were very, 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 very happy that they'd scrapped them. They'd simplified it down to detachments. Yeah,
and most people who are still here and they talk about 7th, they talk about 7th in quite a disparaging way. They normally say that it was broken and, you know, there was only a few armies that were sort of really competitive and they would just basically curb stomp everything else.
Yeah. I played 7th happily. I played many tournaments in 7th happily. Sure. I will hold my hands up and go on camera saying I enjoyed 7th edition. 7th edition was probably the first ever edition that I took seriously. And that's possibly why I didn't have a massive problem with it, because I hadn't really played very seriously in 5th and 6th. I'd played against friends in a local sort of meta, so you're not used to things like codex creep or tournament creep or meta change and all that kind of stuff, all that crap net listing. You're not used to any of that stuff because you're just used to playing with your friends, and your friends tend to have the same army. Yeah. So I played in 5th and 6th edition, quite a friendly, low-level pickup game, which I think is probably the most common way of playing 40k.
Definitely, I'd say so. Yeah.
But obviously, tournaments have become bigger, and social clubs have become bigger over recent years, and I think that happened to a degree within 7th as well. Although it has got significantly better with 8th, and those formations was my first edition I played. I wasn't bothered by them. I thought they were okay.
Sure.
Do you know I've become more bothered by 7th edition formations since 8th edition? Just because of how much more balance it is. I've had significantly better games in 8th than I have in 7th. Because there is, if I'm not playing breakneck tournament lists, there's always a chance I can win.
Yeah, totally. I think that seems to be the thing that people who've been in the hobby for a while sort of say about 8th. You know, that it's the most balanced, and they'll say that there are issues with it and things that aren't quite right maybe, or things they'd prefer that be changed, but almost everyone says 8th edition is the most balanced edition, or it's an improvement certainly on 7th anyway.
I completely agree with that as well. When 8th was coming, I was very sceptical because I was one of those people that enjoyed 7th.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, are you really going to take a game that I enjoy and basically rebuild it from the ground up?
Screw up my game.
And we'd seen what happened with, 8th edition Fantasy into Age of Sigmar? Was it 8th, the last edition of Fantasy?
I think so, yeah.
7th or 8th. And we'd seen what they'd done when they come into Age of Sigmar. And I was like, are you really going to do this? Because at that point, you are very nervous as a loyal fan. So 5th to 6th, 6th to 7th, there weren't major changes. It wasn't a complete system overhaul.
Sure.
The way you would wound things stayed the same. Vehicles having hull points pretty much stayed the same, etc. Yeah. So it wasn't massive changes. So to move into 8th edition that incorporated wounds for tanks rather than hull points, and toughness for tanks rather than armor values, and you scrap weapon facing, and it's, to someone who's played 7th edition with all the formations and bells and whistles, you do look at that a little bit and you go, you're oversimplifying my game. And I like the complexity. I like the tactical complexity to it. And there are some things I've spoke about on occasion with people like Winters that I do miss the tactical complexity of getting the right angle on an armour facing, for example.
Sure, yeah.
It is an overcomplicated step of the game that we don't need. And I know that now, having played 8th, but a little part of me misses that additional sort of layer tacticalness of having to get in behind that tank to be able to hurt its rear armour, because it's the easiest way to get to the squishy inside.
And I think that's one of the sort of relatively common things that people miss.
Yeah.
About 7th.
One of the things for me that I don't like personally is true line of sight. Winters loves true line of sight. Can a pass of this model see a pass of that model? Yes, you can shoot it. He loves that. It's simple. I hate it. We had a game recently involving Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming on the channel, and I played the Eternal Slaughter against his Blood Ravens Thousand Sons. And there was a point where some of his, I think they were aggressors, could see the base of one of my models. Now, from a camera perspective on a battle report, it genuinely looked like he couldn't see anything at all.
Yeah.
But from a player-on-player get down to eye level, he definitely could see the base.
The base is part of the model, isn't
True line of sight for 40k 8th edition, he can shoot.
Yeah.
Fact. There's no arguing it. He can shoot. So I didn't have a problem with it. YouTube have had a bit of an there's been a bit of an outcry about it personally. I'm not bothered by it. So we were basically mostly apprehensive about 8th, but then happy once it settled that they got rid of formations. And with the way the detachments work now, and we've got Spearhead and Vanguard and Battalion, all that kind of stuff, there seemed to also be a way to make the narrative lists that existed in 7th edition, but in 8th. So you still have that customization that you used to get given with formations, but instead it's with detachments. So there's arguably more freedom.
Yeah, sure.
So I like that, and I was happy with it. And then the book you've got next to you came out, Vigilus Defiant.
Yes.
Start of the Vigilus campaign.
Yeah.
And this has been met with 50-50, I would go as far as to say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't think there's anyone now that on this book on Defiant. Now that the dust has settled, I don't think there are many people who are outraged by it.
They will be when they read this one in a minute.
Yeah, probably. But I think it seems to me that the biggest problem with this is that they decided to call them formations.
Possibly.
I think if they called it something else, it wouldn't have been nearly as controversial.
Yeah. Now, so Winters made a point, which I can't. What annoys me the most about Winters' point is I can't disagree with it. Right? And as you know, as someone who likes to argue a point,
we know how argumentative
when you can't disagree with a point, it really pisses me off. But he has a point, and he says with these formations, he says, because the thing is, I believe as well in the front of the book, and I haven't actually checked this tonight, which is terrible, but I believe at the start of this it actually says they're designed for narrative play. But I don't know. I don't know if it's at the very front or at the front of the formations or whatever. But somewhere, I'm sure it's been pointed out to me in the past that it says it is designed for specialist play. Okay. For narrative play.
I'm frantically looking.
Yeah, I don't worry about it too much.
No.
But so that shows you that their intention for this is for it to be narrative, right, and not for it to be competitive. Interestingly, LVO tournaments like those have allowed them. So I don't know if it is designed for narrative play, but tournaments like LVO have allowed these as legitimate formations, legitimate detachments, in fact, within 40k. Interestingly, these things aren't like the old style formations, so they aren't take this many units and you can add that to your army, and take this many units and you add that to your army. These are not bolt-on detachments to your currently existing detachment. You cannot take a battalion detachment, for example, and then bolt on one of these formations. It doesn't work.
No.
Basically, what you do is you spend a command point normally. I think every single one I've seen so far is a single command point.
Yes.
And essentially, certain units then gain a keyword. So some of them might say that Devastators gain a keyword. Some of them might say that Eldar jet bikes gain a keyword. So, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you gain a keyword. That's it. That's all that does to you. So you spend a command point. At that point, all you've done is gained a keyword.
Yeah.
So for me, personally, it's zero difference to spending a command point on a stratagem.
Correct.
So I don't. It's not like you must include all these units and they're free to bolt onto your army. Then, by gaining that keyword, you then gain access to normally 4 things. Normally a warlord trait, a relic, and 2 stratagems.
Correct.
So your warlord, if he is with that keyword, I believe, I don't know how accurate this is, he can take a relic. Does it say? You can see it right now. Does it say if your army includes this detachment, your warlord can, or does it have to be a warlord with the keyword?
If it has to, the warlord has to have the keyword.
Right, so the warlord with the keyword has to be the one that takes the trait.
Yeah.
Which might not be the desirable warlord you want. It might be that you want a different warlord. And there's a relic in there as well that you can take for your army. And you get 2 stratagems. And I've tended to find on the whole that one stratagem is really quite good and one's meh.
Yeah,
and if
generally,
the other one is also good, it tends to be more than 1 CP.
Yeah, so some of them have got, they're either 1, 2 or 3 CP. But some of them are pretty good. Some of them are a bit like situational. But yeah, some of the ones that are sort of 3 CP, you might think are a bit overcosted.
So I've talked long enough about how they look. So Mikey, if you want to just pick one, any one you want.
Yeah, okay.
And let's chat to us about what it is, who it's for.
So I thought I'd pick one that's a bit out of left field, haven't heard too much about. So I've just gone with the Black Templars Sword Brethren.
Oh, I like it. My brother likes Black Templars. That's
yeah,
perfect.
Okay. I quite like them as well. But anyway, so basically, Sword Brethren is the ambition of every Black Templar initiate to be elevated to the esteemed ranks of the Sword Brethren. For these warrior knights are the elites of their chapter. Basically, 1 CP and High Marshal, Helbrecht, Empress Champion, Captains, Company Champions and Company Veterans in a detachment gain the Sword Brethren keyword.
And that's it. For 1 CP, they just gain that keyword.
Yeah, so just pick a Black Templars detachment and those models within that detachment will get a keyword.
That's another really important thing as well to realise. So it says pick a Black Templars detachment and they get the keyword. So if you're someone who likes to construct your force in such a way to make maximum use of command points, so say for example you've got a 1750 point list, you've got a battalion, a spearhead and a vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
With that, you can only pick one of those 3 for that command point. I mean, you can use as many formations as you want, but if you want to make all 3 Sword Brethren, that's 3 CPs.
3 CP, yep.
So you don't get it for your whole army unless your whole army is in 1 detachment, in which case you've got less command points anyway.
Yeah, and it only targets certain units as well. And different ones target different units. So Crimson Fist's one is Primaris characters, Intercessors, Reavers, Hellblasters. They all get the keyword in that one. But for this particular one, Black Templars, it's only Helbrecht, the Empress Champion, Captains, Company Champions, and the Vets.
Yeah.
So they all get the Sword Brethren keyword. So the Warlord trait is called Master Swordsman. Add 1 to your Warlord's attacks characteristic. In addition, each time you roll an unmodified hit roll of 6 for an attack made by your Warlord in the fight phase, that attack inflicts 2 hits instead of 1. So exploding 6s on your Warlord in combat.
Okay.
Which is kind of okay, I guess.
Not too bad.
It's not too bad.
Narrative, kind of?
Yeah, it is really. I mean, this is basically to up your Black Templars and make them a bit more combative.
It's no worse than Death to the False Emperor, but you have to spend a command point to get there.
Yeah, so it's just the 1 CP for the detachment for this, and then obviously it's your Warlord trait. But it costs you a CP effectively. The relic is the Holy Orb. Once per battle in your shooting phase, you can choose for the bearer to throw the Holy Orb instead of making a normal shooting attack. If you do so, pick a visible enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer and roll a d6 for every 10 models in that unit, rounding up. For each roll of a 2+, that unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. So, a unit of 10 models on a 2+, they get d3 mortal wounds. If it's 20 models, or it's more than 10.
So we're saying the Black Templars have got the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
Indeed.
They have.
It seems to be. So if they encounter a vicious white bunny, they have the tool to defeat it.
And at this stage, if you take this relic, you're not taking something like the Shield Eternal, right? Yeah. Because it replaces your relic. There is a stratagem at the very beginning of the book before the formations that state you can spend a command point to have I think it's essentially an additional Warlord trait, to basically have 2 Warlord traits in your army. And so you can make use of your formation one as well as your normal Warlord trait.
Sure.
But again, that costs you command points.
Yeah.
And command points are key in 8th edition.
Yeah, they really are.
Aren't they?
Absolutely. And if you're gonna want to run a lot of this stuff, then really you're gonna be running, double battalion or something like that, where you get a lot more command points.
Or a brigade. A
brigade.
That was the English version of brigade.
Yeah, brigade.
Right.
Yeah. So and these the relic can only be given to a Sword Brethren character, and then the Warlord trait only to a Sword Brethren character as well. So we'll just quickly rinse through these strats. You get 2. You've got Uphold the Honor of the Emperor.
Don't.
Use this stratagem at the start of your fight phase. pick a sword. Well, actually, it's start of the fight phase.
Right.
Pick a sword brethren unit from your army. Until the end of that phase, roll a d6 each time a model in that unit loses a wound. On a 5+, that model does not lose that wound. So it's a 5+, feel no pain in the fight phase.
That costs you command points.
1 CP, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, fair enough. It's pretty good, I suppose. 5 up, feel no pain is pretty powerful.
Yep.
Yeah, like that. 2 CP for the next one, though, which is Suffer Not the Unclean to Live.
That's expensive, though, 2 CPs.
Yeah, 2
so it's got to be good.
Yeah.
It's got to be really special, this.
Well,
If it's 2
we'll
CPs.
see. So
Come on, Mikey P, hit us with it.
Yeah, so again, use the stratagem, start the fight phase, pick a sword brethren unit from your army, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of models in that unit for this phase. In addition, you can re-roll wound rolls for attacks made by that unit until the end of that phase.
Not terrible.
Not terrible.
If you
attack.
combine that with the Warlord trait, etc., not bad at all.
Yeah.
But it's still putting Space Marines in combat.
Yes, this is it. I mean, it's basically you're going to want to use it on probably the company vets and kit them out with close combat weapons, but they're probably going to be pretty pricey.
You really want to be using it on a unit of Reavers, but you can't.
But you can't, no.
So, yeah. So that was actually, as a complete random pick from yourself, for me, that was a perfect example.
Yes.
Absolutely perfect, Mikey P.
Yeah, because...
And the reason why that's perfect is because it's just pure narrative.
Yeah, exactly right.
There is literally... I mean, there is benefits to it. And Winters' argument is that no one will take these formations unless they make something that they were going to take originally better.
Yeah.
And I get that argument. And like I said to you earlier, I'm not necessarily able to argue with it. However... that is making stuff better at what you want Black Templars to do.
Yeah.
But they're still crap.
Yeah. Still
right?
rubbish.
So you're making them better, which is fine, but they're still crap. So you're not making an amazing unit unstoppable. And there is one that I think exists now, having looked through Vigils of Blaze. I can't talk about that one you've got in front of you because I've skimmed through it for like the Eldar Simhan one, etc.
Yeah. Go on.
But yeah, it doesn't... There's a couple, like, for example, we've seen Brom use the Veteran Intercessor one quite regularly.
Yeah.
Why won't he use that?
Where is that?
I'm sure you'll find it. The Wraith Host is pretty decent. The Windrider Host is
okay.
okay.
It's okay. Yeah, I mean the Astromir of Time ones are pretty decent. The Empress Wrath Artillery Company is nice.
The Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company and the next one, which is the Tank Company, are both very. The Emperor's Fist Tank Company, I think, are both very good.
Yeah, they are good.
So that's an example, and that's another perfect example. Then the Emperor's Wrath Company specifically, because I know that one quite well, where I think potentially that one is too strong, and you're taking units that are already good and making them much better. So the Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company covers things like Wyverns and Basilisks. Yeah,
so it's company commanders, masters of ordnance, basilisks, hydras, and wyverns.
Wyverns,
yeah. So they'll get the Emperor's Wrath keyword, and then the key things are the stratagems. You got suppressive fire, which is 1 CP.
Very good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So pick an Emperor's Wrath vehicle unit from your army. This is at start your shooting phase. That unit cannot shoot this phase. Instead, it lays down suppressive fire. Pick an enemy infantry unit that is within range of at least one of its weapons. Until the start of your next turn, that enemy unit cannot fire Overwatch and halves its move characteristic.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
That's super strong.
You know, think about that against like Tau.
Genestealer Cults as well.
Genestealer Cults, yeah, definitely. Anything that's got decent Overwatch or is going to be, you know, zipping around the board or something.
Yeah. I mean, you're even looking at Custodian Jet Bikes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's really good, that. Really good. And the second one
is...
So we did watch Brandon Grant win the LVO, and he took this formation, and he had was 2 Wyverns.
He did.
And he would use both these stratagems every turn if he could.
Yeah.
One was this one, and the next one, which made up for the first one.
Yeah, it's Pounding Barrage. So this is 2 CP, this one. Use the stratagem, start your shooting phase. Pick an Emperor's Wrath vehicle unit from your army. Pick one of that unit's ranged weapons. That unit can shoot twice that weapon this phase.
Yep. So second you take 2 Wyverns. Yeah. One of them then does suppressive fire, stops something from moving. The other one then drops that one and fires twice, so you haven't lost any shots. Costs 3 CP in total, plus 1 for the formation, but you can start to really control what the enemy does.
Yeah.
That's a super strong formation.
Yeah, it really is.
Or specialist detachment, whatever you want to call them. Formations is the easiest for me because they don't fit within the normal detachment rules of you have 0 to 1 HQs and 0 to 3 troops and that kind of stuff. That's very strong, and that was the bit that was concerning. We've been told in the chat the Indomitus Crusaders, I think it is the the veteran intercessor one that Brom's been using. Again, intercessors aren't bad. We already know that intercessors are semi-good,
here we are.
and they're probably better than normal. Well, in fact, they are definitely better than normal Marines for their points cost. This makes them even better. And that was Winters' argument with these, is it's overcomplicated for returners and new joiners because you're adding something else in, and it does make strong, or it can make strong units even better.
Yeah.
Now, I think on the whole, in Vigilus Defiant, it's not that bad, and it costs. So that Emperor's Wrath trick, to just do that, is 4 CPs.
Yes, it is, yeah.
I think that's probably a worthy cost.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, isn't it? And
to be able to fire your 2 Wyverns the same number of times you'd normally be able to fire them, but basically control 1 enemy unit's movement, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's right.
3 CPs. It's quite high. So although it's very, very strong, I think it's good. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a particular issue with that. And also, it's things like, basilisks and wyverns. You don't see many wyverns. We didn't before this, really.
No. So it now takes a unit where a slot was dominated by basically basilisks and mortar teams.
Yes.
And now you're likely to see wyverns as well. So for me, that's a plus.
Yeah,
for someone who mentioned at the very start of the stream, at the very start of the video, that I like variation. If you're going to see more wyverns, because for me, it's also not necessarily an auto take a wyvern now over a basilisk. I think there's a semblance of balance there between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both the basilisk and the wyverns can benefit from this.
I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't, with this specific formation now, take 1 basilisk and 1 wyvern.
Totally.
And then what you can do is you can pick which one gets to fire twice and which one gets to suppressive fire. And you've still got the same benefit of suppressing, and whichever one you think is useful. Up against the bucket load of infantry, drop your wyvern. Up against tough units, drop your basilisk. So that's, I think I like it for those reasons.
Yeah, I think so. And like all things, it gets really cheesy when you start mixing this in with a Castellan and other things as well. But if you were doing a pure guard army, some of these things are going to make you a bit more competitive, but they're just quite nice and fluffy.
But is that the fault of the formation or the fault of soup?
Well, it's soup really. Without soup, I don't think this Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company would make guards super overpowered.
And I'm not gonna stumble down the soup rabbit hole,
let's not do
because
it.
we've done that many times before. Yeah. But I just don't know if there's an easy fix for soup at the moment, because if you put the question out there to people, how do you fix soup in 40k 8th edition, you'll get 101 different answers as to how to fix it, and most of them will be good solutions, but within their own little vacuum because of people's individual experiences. Yeah. So I like soup because I like narrative soup, where you've got a large unit of guardsmen and there's an elite unit of space marines and etc. But you don't see a large unit of guardsmen and an elite unit of space marines. You just see the minimum guard battalion or brigade charging a Castellan and some special marine characters, and that's it. Yeah. If you saw more narrative soup, I'd be all over it. I think it'd be amazing for the hobby. But unfortunately, because of the way tournament play tends to push us, or push the hobby in general, it's really negative. And that's a reason why we had that long discussion in Discord the other day about the fact that I'm probably going to knock tournaments on the head because they just bring out the worst in the hobby. That's a whole other podcast. We might talk about that next week, perhaps. Yeah.
We'll worry about that another time. But certainly, in terms of in this book, then in Vigilus Defiant, there's various stratagems for different races. So you've got. Let's do a quick rundown. Obviously, you've got Marines. There's stuff for AdMech. There's stuff for Gene Seed Occults, Eldari.
Yeah.
Astra Militarum and Orcs.
Yeah, so loads of factions, and we've not yet got all 3 books. So they've already said that there'll be a 3rd Vigilus book. I
don't know if it's actually going to be Vigilus, to be honest with you, but it's going to be all
I
those.
call it a 3rd Vigilus book. We have been told, I believe, we will have a 3rd book of the same sort of style. That will give formations, etc. Yes. That will cover some of the factions that haven't, if not all of the factions that haven't yet got one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, everyone's going to feel the love across 3 books, which is good. I will say, and this is going to make people laugh at me, considering the last 3 weeks, that I think their balance is bad.
Okay.
So in Vigilus Defiant, per faction, maximum I think you've got is maybe 3 or 4 formations or detachments per faction. I think Astra Militarum I've got 4 perhaps. I think a couple of us have got a couple of them. I
mean, you've got Marines, but they're broken down to chapters, so,
Well, I guess in that respect it's maybe similar. Vigilus Ablaze, which is a book that's the same size as Vigilus Defiant, is 1 Chaos Demon's Corn, the rest Chaos Space Marines.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow, it's only Khorne?
One Chaos Demon's Core, and that's because I've got a new Herald, a new Skull Taker model, and a new piece of scenery, the Skull Altar.
Yes.
So you've got that, and then you've got basically Chaos.
Wow.
And to be fair, some of them are really narrative, so I don't mind them. And this is where I try and argue with Winters, that they're not only narrative, but they cost you command points.
Yes.
So you have to pay to play the narrative options. Let me see if I can find a couple. Cult of the Damned. Okay. So they've just made cultists significantly worse. If you don't know what I'm talking about, cultists in the last FAQ, chapter approved, whichever one it was, went up by a point.
Yes.
So they're up to 5 points a model. And now in the new Chaos Codex, they've got a special rule called Mere Mortals, which means they don't get a Legion trait. So cultists are now 5 point a model, and they don't get a Legion trait.
So they can't be Alpha Legion.
No argument with it. I think it's perfect.
Makes perfect sense.
I think it does. And then you've got the Cult of the Damned formation in who was that? New resub. Thank you, Andy Byrne, for the resub. Cult of the Damned formation in Vigils Ablaze. I've now got the book in front of me. Cult of the Damned, single command point to make Dark Apostles, Dark Disciples, Chaos Cultists, Cult of the Damned. So you're affecting essentially a HQ character and cultists. The Warlord trait allows you to reroll charge rolls for friendly cultists that are within 6 inches of your Warlord.
Oof.
The relic is essentially a ranged weapon. You basically replace any ranged weapon, and it's an 8-inch assault D6 strength 5 AP -1 D3 damage flamer that automatically hits its target. Again, not that great, called the Inferno Tome. And then you've got ritual offerings and chorus of the True Faith. So ritual offerings is a single command point. You pick stratagem when an enemy model is destroyed by any attacks made by Cult of the Damned Chaos Cultists from your army in the fight phase. That Chaos Cultist unit automatically passes morale tests for the rest of the battle. So you've got to rely on your cultists to kill a unit, and then you get basically to ignore morale for the rest of the battle.
Yeah.
Equally, you could take 240 points of Abaddon and get that anyway.
Yeah, well, this is it, yeah.
A single command point for Chorus of the True Faith. Stratagem on a Cult of the Damned Dark Apostle from your army. Chance of prayer. If there are any friendly Cult of the Damned Chaos Cultists within 6 inches of Dark Apostle, add 1 to the dice roll to see if the prayer is heard. That's really cool and really narrative, and might see some play. Play. Because for a command point, without having to take Dark Disciples, just surround your Dark Apostle with cultists, and your prayers are then heard on 2+. Okay?
Yeah.
Because your prayers are normally 3+ now.
Yeah.
With the new system, and there'd be 2 with cultists around. So a couple of cheap squads of cultists who are also good screening units and objective secure troops choices can now also give you a 2+ to cast your prayer without taking Dark Disciples.
I was going to say, the Dark Disciples have the same effect, don't they?
Yeah, and you can't get better than a 2+.
No.
So you can do this without taking Dark Disciples at all. The problem with Dark Disciples is they've got to stay with the thing within 2 inches. This allows you to be within 6 inches. So you've got better range with this one to give them the +1.
Okay.
So this is arguably a better choice than taking Dark Disciples.
It's a different choice, isn't it? Because Dark Disciples can't be targeted.
If they're within 2 inches of the Dark Apostle.
Yes.
So can you hit a situation where they're not within 2 inches? They can.
Yeah.
So that one is a narrative formation for Chaos that I really, really like, and I don't think you'll see it taken everywhere.
No, it's not OP, is it? I don't think that one.
However, if you have Vigils Ablaze, flick back a page to page 181. Now, for me, and I might be wrong here, and people might shout at me at YouTube or on Twitch, but having skimmed this book yesterday, and I was only able to skim it because it turned up yesterday from Element, because they made me wait, and then because I was working today, which is Mother's Day in the UK, it meant that yesterday was Mother's Day, and I wasn't allowed to open the parcel, so what I managed to do was stick her breakfast in front of her and managed to get it open. And I just skimmed through the pages, and
you tested your luck as much as you dare.
I've really pushed my luck, and now we're streaming tonight on actual Mother's Day, so yeah, I'll be feeling that for a week.
Yep.
We come on to what I think potentially is one of the strongest formations that's come out so far. And it's called a Devastation Battery.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard about this.
No, I haven't.
If you then combine this with some of the new Black Legion rules, it becomes horrendous, but even on its own. It's a Devastation Battery for a single CP. Chaos Lords, Warp Smiths, Havocs and Obliterators gain the Devastation Battery keyword. So instantly we're talking about Lords, which are already popular.
Yeah.
Warp Smiths, no one really cares about. Havocs and Obliterators. Obliterators with their new rules are very popular and very strong, as we've seen, especially if you manage to get like 400 points for free in a battle report.
Yeah.
And then Havocs in their new rules can now move and shoot without penalty and a toughness 5 for a single extra point.
Yep.
So they're really good.
Yes.
So that's great, okay? We're not going to talk about the Warlord trait just yet. I'm going to cover that one in the end. And this is where I think the Warlord traits where I think they're really, really broken. So the relic is a Demon Eye. This is so imagine. Yeah, I know. I thought you'd giggle at that. So one of the relics you just picked, I think it was for Black Templar, said once per battle.
Yeah.
This one says at the start of your shooting phase, not one shooting phase, just the start of your shooting phase.
Yeah.
Pick a friendly devastation battery unit within 6 inches of the bearer. Enemy units do not receive the benefit of cover against that unit's weapons this phase.
Oh, hang on. I've seen that in one of these.
Every shooting phase, you pick a friendly devastation battery unit, and they basically ignores cover.
Yes.
You're talking about obliterators and havocs. So they're all AP -1, 2 anyway, sometimes 3, and now they can ignore cover.
Yeah.
Which is important, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Wall breakers no one actually cares about. So that's a relic that's free because it's a relic.
Right.
Wall breakers no one cares about. You basically get to, what do? You re-roll something. Re-roll damage rolls for attacks made with ranged weapons against buildings. Not important because no one takes buildings. And then you've got punishing volley. This is insane.
Okay, go on.
This is a single command point.
Uh-huh.
Now, I just want you to picture this on a unit of, say, Havocs with autocannons at 48-inch range.
All right.
Right? Use this stratagem at the end of your opponent's first turn. At the end of your opponent's first movement phase. So, the end of your opponent's first movement phase if you did not have first turn. So, we roll off, you get first turn, or however it works. You do your movement phase. I spend a command point, I do this.
Yeah.
Pick a devastation battery unit from your army. That unit can shoot as if it was a shooting phase. No penalties, no negatives, nothing.
And it's 1 CP.
1 CP. Well, 2 strictly because you have to pay to get the formation in the first place.
Okay, yeah. But
now,
go on.
Now take the Warlord trait, which makes it super OP, I think, in my opinion. Armor Bane. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made for friendly devastation battery units that are within 6 inches of your Warlord if the target is a vehicle.
If the target's a vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can also use Vets of the Long War.
Yeah.
Because you target it in the shooting phase.
Yeah.
So you can add +1 to wound, reroll ones to wound with your Warlord, who could be a Chaos Lord, who allows you to reroll 1s to hit, stood next to a unit that's shooting at the end of their movement phase in turn 1.
Yeah. So you get a full unit of Havocs to shoot their Castellan before they even get a chance to blow them off the board.
So Castellan possibly, but basically you can shoot. Say you had 4 last cannon Havocs.
Yeah.
You'd be hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, wounding on 3s, rerolling 1s before they've even got a chance to shoot. Is it me?
That's the key thing, isn't it? It's before they get a chance to shoot. And you can only do that once in the game.
I don't know if it's just me, but that is horrendously strong.
I think it's good. I think the fact that you can only use it once per battle, is that right? Yeah? You can only do it after. You can use it once per battle. It sort of limits how OP it can be, but that is still good. I mean, any time you get to take an action outside of your own turn. Yeah,
it's good, right?
Absolutely. And it guarantees also that you're going to get the first shooting attack of the whole game. Which is, that's pretty damn powerful. And that you can do it with a bunch of oblits.
Yeah.
You can do it with 3 obliterators.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, they've got to be, it's pretty situational. If you're going to have obliterators within 24 inches of your opponent, probably not. But certainly with Havocs, with their long range firepower and the chance to pop off some shots.
So Darren's asked in the chat on Twitch, can they rotate iron shields in their own movement phase? I believe so. I believe rotate iron shields say when your model is selected as a target of a ranged weapon, which means at any phase basically you can rotate. Sure. But imagine you are picking that Castellan with 4 last cannons before he's got to do anything. You're then forcing him to pay 3 CPs to rotate iron shields before he's even shot.
Yeah, before he's done anything, really.
When it hits your shooting phase, and you can then fire this unit again because there's no negative, if you do the same thing, he might rotate again for another 3 CPs. You could get him to smash 6 command points on just rotating before the end of the first battle round. No, I think that's massively important.
Yeah.
There's other formations in here that I really like, which I will flick to quickly now.
Sure. I do like that. That's pretty decent. Yeah, I think you will see that.
I think you can. I wonder actually, if I'm honest, how good the host Raptor will be, which is basically it buffs raptors and warp talons.
Okay,
it's quite impressive.
Go for it.
Essentially, anything with a jump pack gains the keyword. Anything with a jump pack. You've got 2 stratagems. One of them, at the end of the movement phase, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by that unit until the end of the turn. So you use a stratagem when you set up a host raptor unit on the battlefield. So basically, you drop a unit in on the movement phase. That's the downside to it, is you don't even know you made the charge yet. You've got to spend a command point.
Yeah.
And terror strikes are your leadership. But importantly, is the warlord trait and the relic. The warlord trait is the big important one. Add 2 to charge rolls for friendly host raptor units while they're within 6 inches of your warlord.
Oh, nice.
So you drop a unit of warp talons down 9 inches away,
7-inch charge.
and your warlord in just behind. You've got a 7-inch charge, and because your warp talons, you ignore Overwatch to turn your deep strike.
Oh, really?
Yeah, warp talons have got a special rule. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially, the turn they deep strike when they charge, you get a Overwatch free charge from them because they've just deep struck.
Yeah, and bear in mind as well that this is only you only apply these to a detachment. So if you had I don't know, an Outriders detachment, are they elites fast attack? I don't know.
What's that? Fast attack, warp talons, and raptors.
Yeah. So if you did an Outriders detachment, you could put that formation on them, and then you can even use another formation on another detachment if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think you could definitely. I think one of the things I love about some of the formations are the fact that they do offer units that aren't necessarily all that great some bonuses.
Yes.
So, for example, you've got Demonkin Ritualists. Someone like Sorcerer Dave will love this one for his word bearers, I would guess, which affects Dark Apostles, Disciples, Masters of Possession, Possessed, Greater Possessed. They all gain the Demonkin Rituals. They get some extra stuff. For example, the Warlord trait allows you to roll every unmodified wound roll of a 6 for an attack made with a melee weapon. Inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition. Okay. So that makes your possessed, who are okay in melee, a little bit better.
Yeah.
The burning rod is just it replaces the master possession's force stave essentially. It's not massively important. But then you've got vessels for the Neverborn. Pick a ritualist demon unit from your army that's within 6 inches of a Demonkin ritualist master possession. Add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristics and models on that unit you picked until the end of the phase. I really like that one. Start the fight phase. That's the important part with that one, as opposed to the host raptora one. So this one, you've made the charge. You then spend that command point and go. You've got +1 attack and +1 strength on your possessed units, which is really quite cool.
Yeah, totally.
And souls are devoted. Basically, you pick a ritualist possessed unit from your army, and a friendly Demonkin ritualist character that was within 6 inches of that unit. Roll a d3. The possessed unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the result, and the character regains a number of wounds lost to the result. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
These are things. This is what I mean. Those formations, I think they're good. I think they've got some legs. Okay. I think that possessed one has got the potential to be good, especially if you're running a narrative list like Toby's word bearers. But I don't think it's an auto include.
No.
And I don't think it's horrendously broken.
I think like anything, people will find a way of cheesing it up. They'll find something they think's really good, and they'll put all their eggs in that one basket, and they'll get a really powerful punch in it in particular circumstances or situations. But nothing I've seen. We've said there is like super OP.
I don't know. I think that Devastation Battery,
or maybe
when you combine it with the new rules for Obliterators and Havocs, I just think it's really good.
Yeah, it is really good, but I'll say it's because it's limited to only once.
So Winter's got very excited about the fact that one of the reasons why I think it's very good as well. What's only once? Oh, the Punishing Volley.
Yeah.
So the strongest thing I think from that detachment, if I'm honest, is the Warlord trait that allows you to reroll failed to wounds of 1s against vehicles.
Yeah.
Winter's got very, very excited about the fact that a Master of Possession, if he cast a Psychic Power, gave reroll to hits and to wound rolls of a 1 to Obliterators, for example.
Yeah.
If you have a Chaos Lord with that Warlord trait, you don't even have to cast a Psychic... I mean, granted, you're hitting vehicles.
Yeah.
But you don't even have to cast that Psychic Power. You just have it all the time.
Yeah.
And he suggested that one of the reasons... He suggested that one of the reasons why Obliterators were pointed so highly in the new codex was because they'd taken into consideration the combinations that could exist with Masters of Possession, etc.
Yeah, which seems totally fair and reasonable to me.
So what I wonder is, this is an interesting question, actually. Considering that was his statement, and yet he's so dead against these formations and detachments, have they possibly considered these units when writing these books and these attachments?
Well, one thing we probably know for certain is that they would have been aware of this. They're aware of what's going on well in advance, and I would suspect that the points is probably more or less the last thing that they would apply to these books.
Yeah, if they can be bothered at all, they might just copy and paste from the old codex.
Well, they might do, mightn't they, and just fuck it up. Yeah, I don't know.
It's an interesting concept. He's convinced that they've pointed a blitz based on the abilities and the combinations you can now create with things like Ender's Cacophony and Veterans of the Long War and Master of Possession, etc.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they should do that. I think they should be pointing things on the basis of what you can do with them,
Completely
not necessarily just the stat line and the rules.
Yeah, completely
on their on their slate. But that could also happen just by chance. It's GW rules writers.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think in this edition, in an edition that exists with auras and buffs, and so in 7th edition you didn't really have auras. You kind of just, if the character was attached to the unit, that unit gained that benefit.
Yeah, that's right.
Because characters used to get lost in units, essentially.
Within units, yeah.
And now you don't have that. Now you have auras. And in an edition that includes auras and buffs and powers and stratagems, I think to some degree you have it makes it very hard to point a unit. So I think to some degree you're 100% right. You should be considering these things when pointing said unit.
Yeah.
Equally, you have to think though, a player who wants to play a narrative Iron Warriors list. Okay?
Yeah.
So he's got demon engines galore and heavy havocs and heavy devastators, all that kind of stuff, obliterators, all that kind of stuff. And he's going to go, you know what? For my narrative list, screw taking Chaos Space Marines or Cultists. I'm going to take a spearhead and a spearhead. I'm going to run HQs and heavy supports. That poor bugger has now only got 5 command points.
Yeah.
Now I'm speaking as someone who does this with Simhan. Okay, 5 command points is all I get if I take a spearhead and my outrider, and I at the moment refuse to take troop. I don't refuse to take troop choices. I haven't got them, but still, I refuse to take troop choices.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you hadn't, you wouldn't take them anyway.
Because I want a fast jet bike born list for Simhan on the whole.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have put Flamer Wraiths in a Wraith Guard with D scythes in a Wave Serpent and put it in my Simhan list, and I don't like doing it because for me it ruins my bike type aesthetic a little bit. I'd actually rather run, for example, Vipers.
I was going to say, get yourself some Vipers then.
So I have been that person in that situation who has 5 command points. When you have 5 command points, every single one is very bloody precious.
Yeah, just
very, 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 very
just
precious, right? So if you then point a unit, like, for example, Obliterators, in a way that you're going, actually, you could use Ender's Cacophony, which is 2 command points, and you can use Veterans of the Long War, which is 1 command point, or you could put them in Black Legion and use this command point, which allows you to reroll hit rolls of 1. So actually what we're going to do is bump all the points up, right?
Yeah.
And then you have someone who's got 5 command points in his whole army. He's now paying overcosted points for things he won't be able to use. And granted, that's his choice for how he's built his army. But I would like to encourage people to build whatever type of list they want.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just looking at the Wind Rider host.
Oh, I haven't read this. Go for it. Talk to me about
well, it's
not that great, no?
Spoiler alert, bit shit. I mean, okay,
well,
so
Elder don't need buffs, though, do they?
No, so it's. I mean, the thing here is that their stratagems 2 CP and 3 CP.
Oh, expensive. That's high.
Yeah, and you've already paid 1 CP to make them Wind Rider host. So yeah.
So my 5, I can't do both stratagems.
No, you can't. no, you definitely can't.
So I need some Guardians. Okay,
yeah,
good.
so basically, it's all the things you expect. It's everything with a bike. You know, I'm not going to run through all those, so you can imagine what they are.
Yeah.
So first stratagem, 2 CP, Nimble Escape. Use this stratagem in the fight phase after a Wind Rider host unit from your army has fought. That unit can immediately make a move and advance as if it were your movement phase. If there are any enemy units within 1 inch, it can fall back instead.
What? Ooh.
That's pretty good.
What's the command point cost?
2 CP.
You know what that does?
You can jump on top of a building.
That gives Shining Spears, essentially in a mono Eldar Codex type list, a soul burst.
Yes, it does.
Basically, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from you don't have to kill your unit, enemy unit to do that.
Use this stratagem in the fight phase after a Wind Rider host unit from your army has fought, so you can actually negate your opponent's ability to fight you back as well.
So the way the Soul Burst works for the Inari list that takes Simhan Shining Spears, those that you know, is they use the Simhan stratagem that allows you to advance and charge.
Yeah.
So basically you can make a turn 1 charge. They then kind of rely on the army to wipe the unit to wipe out what they've hit, at which point they can Soul Burst, and they can then do a full move away. This one, you're not relying on wiping out.
Correct.
Because you could essentially get in there, oh shit, I haven't killed them,
Yeah.
and then jump out the way.
And because it's move as if it were your movement phase. Yeah. So you can jump on top of buildings, behind buildings, whatever.
That's
you're not
amazing.
limited by fly.
That's cool. When it was picking the units for this, was it Simhan specific or just Elder Windrider jet bike type stuff?
Pick a craft world detachment for your army to be a Windrider host specialist detachment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then so the other one, the third one, the second stratagem, which is 3 CP, is Tempest of Blades.
Yep.
Use this stratagem, start your shooting phase, pick a Windrider host Farseer Skyrunner unit from your army, improve the AP of shooting attacks made by friendly Windrider host units within 6 inches by 1.
Not bad,
So
but
plus
3 CPs is a lot.
3 CP for a -1
But it's
AP.
a 6-inch bubble.
Yeah. That's pretty cack. It's too expensive, that's all it is.
I don't know.
It's only you get extra -1 AP.
I don't know. I like...
What are you using that on? So if you're using it on scatter bikes?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 2 big units of scatter bikes by a Farseer, 3 CPs to end up with an insane amount. I mean, what's the maximum unit size of a Windrider squad?
9, isn't it?
I think it's 9. So imagine 9 bikes with 4 shots each. Okay,
Yeah.
so 36 shots per unit.
Quick maths.
Yeah. So 72 shots on the table, and for 3 CPs, they all get AP -1 at strength 6 and a 36-inch range.
Yeah.
And if you're Simhan, you can move and shoot without penalty.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really good.
Yeah, it is. It is. But if you think about it, all you're doing is adding the -1 CP. I mean, that's good without the -1 CP. Sorry, the -1 AP. Sorry, I get confused there. It's good without the AP. So paying 3 CP just to get a -1 AP.
Strictly 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4.
And this is another thing that people tend to sort of fail to realise when they're looking at these stratagems for all these formations in both the Vigilus books, and they'll go, that's insanely powerful for 1 CP. Whatever stratagem you're looking at, add another command point to it, because you have to buy the formation in the first place. So it isn't as simple as, don't look at it in a vacuum of that 1 command point that it's going to cost you. It's actually cost you 2 because you've already paid a command point to use a stratagem. The second time you use it, if you use it a second time, it then costs you the original 1 point cost because you've already sort of negated that initial cost. But
so what do you think about this Warlord trait then? Wild Rider.
Okay.
Wild Rider.
Oh, I love Simhan.
Wowee. Your Warlord and any friendly Windrider host units within 6 inches of your Warlord can charge even if they fell back this turn.
So this is the thing, right? So this massively looks built for Simhan narrative. I have been updated from Galandalf in the chat that says that actually, apparently, Shining Spears can't gain the Windrider host keyword. So he seems to think it's just jet bikes.
Oh, you might be right there. Yeah, I think you are right, actually.
So the thing is that Warlord trait and then that 2 command point stratagem, massively important for Shining Spears that can't use it. So in this instance, the only unit I reckon actually I can see using both these stratagems on are a large unit of Warlocks on bikes, which are exceptionally expensive.
Warlock Skyrunner Conclaves,
and they're not bad. Warlocks aren't bad. With the right psychic buff from your Warlocks, you can be hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, etc. But you're still talking AP minus nothing blades, and then you can jump away. Yeah, so actually we've just discovered that it is as pap as you first thought. I think the Wraith one was supposed to be pretty good.
It's quite good fun.
Yeah. But it doesn't really offer what I take much, I don't think. Not for the cost of the stratagems. That's the problem. And if we look at these...
It's just really expensive, that one. I mean, the Wraith Host one is... they've got a 1 stratagems, 1 CP, and 1's 2 CP, so it's not nearly as costly. Trying to see if they're any good. So 1 CP adds 1 to attacks characteristic of models in a unit.
I like that.
Start the fight phase, so it's got to go on a Wraith Host construct.
So I'm looking at those that whisper. I'm looking at 10 Wraith constructs with axes and shields. They have 2 attacks base. On a turn that they successfully charge, they gain an additional attack. So that's 30 attacks.
Pay 1
Drop
CP.
that on, 4 attacks each. That's huge.
And you do it at the start of the fight phase, so again, you don't have to spend it if they don't make the charge.
So you know you're in, basically. So it's kind of safe. It's a safe command point.
Pretty good, yeah.
The other one is a kind of healing, perhaps.
Spirit Shield. Use the stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Pick a Wraith Host construct unit from your army that is within 6 of a friendly Wraith Host Spirit Seer. Until the start of your next turn, that unit gains a 4+ invuln, and the Spirit Seer loses its 4+ invuln granted by Rune Armor. So you can transfer your 4+ inv to a blob, which is pretty good because Spirit Seer is a character, right?
Yeah, so you can't target the Spirit Seer.
So
what's also cool about that is you can also pass it off onto a Wraith Lord.
Yep.
And if I'm right from remembering reading it the other day, you could actually pass that 4+ inv off onto a Wraith Knight.
Spirit Seers and Wraith Constructs in the attachment. Again, the Wraith Host keyword. So yeah.
Oh wow! So actually, you can give that 4+ vulnerable save to a Hemlock Wraith Fighter.
If it is a Wraith Construct.
It is indeed a Wraith Construct. Oh, that's disgusting. Ooh, we like that one.
So you give them a 4+ inv.
But
that's
then,
2 CP.
Having said that, your Hemlock has to be within 6 inches of a Spirit Seer.
Yes, it does.
And it's a flyer that can't hover, so that's pulling that off.
And you do it at the end of your movement phase as well. So yes, if your Hemlock is, So
what you're saying
may or may not be useful.
What you're saying is you have to basically deploy your Spirit Seer about 20 inches away from your Hemlock to make sure that you can fly 20 inches and then take a 4+ vulnerable save.
Yeah, pretty much.
But you want your Hemlock to be close to the enemy because they've got short range guns.
Yeah, but you don't want your Spirit Seer there because you ain't going to have an inv.
No, and he's quite squishable.
Yeah, totally.
So it's interesting.
It's more. I think. I mean, what about a Wraith Knight?
I like the idea of a Wraith Knight because they only come with a 5+ if they pay for the sword and shield. Or the other gun.
If you just give them the big guns.
Then
they've got a 4+ inv.
I tell you what, I do really like it on, and that's the idea of potentially putting on something like a unit of guard with the cannons or the D-Scythes. The D-Scythes Wraith Guard currently don't have an invulnerable save.
Yeah.
So I can imagine now popping a unit of 10 Wraith Guard out of a Wave Serpent and moving them with the Spirit Seer coming out. I say 10 Wraith Guard. 10 Wraith Guard can't fit in a Wave Serpent, but anyway.
Their move's pretty slow as well, isn't it?
5 inches, yeah. So get your Wraith Guard out of a Wave Serpent. You have 3 wounds each. 5 Wraith Guard, get your Spirit Seer out behind, move them forward, advance them because you're firing flamers anyway, and then pop that for
and your Spirit Seer doesn't attack or anything, does it? So you can advance him as well, and you could even just put him in the middle of the unit, just get him wrapped.
Thomas is a bad man in the chat. Thomas is a bad man because he says, "Are Eldar Titans Wraith constructs?"
Oh.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Oh, 4+ inv. So you haven't got to leap about the board, have you?
I'll tell you what it won't do. It won't stop it being knocked off the table by an angry hobbit.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to head over to deploymentzone.tv and watch the Winters versus Me battle report. Admech versus the Eldar.
Probably the funniest moment I've seen on YouTube in a bat rep.
It's not on YouTube.
On DZ in a bat rep.
But I am,
in a video, you know what I mean?
That one moment has got such positive feedback as to how funny it is. I'm contemplating turning it into a DZ TV advert just to put on YouTube.
There you go. Then that would make a true statement.
Yeah.
So do that.
Yeah, I'll do that for you. Yeah. All right, Wikipedia. Okay. Good.
Protecting my integrity there. Thank you very much.
That's all right, mate. I'm here for you, ultimately.
yeah, right.
That's what I'm here for.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's the thing is we just had a big discussion about these 2 Eldar ones here, and I think what we can probably both agree is that there's some stuff you can do. There's some tech in there. If you've got an Eandan Wraith host or a Wind Rider host, a Simhan list, then you've got a bit more flavour there. You've got a few more things you can do.
I think the big thing for me harks back to what I was saying about the 7th edition formations. And I don't think, if I'm honest, any of these formations are auto-includes for the cost of them. I know Brom likes to use the Primaris Intercessor one a lot. I don't think it's an auto-include because people are still drawn to scouts, for example, as troop choices. He just likes intercessors. So for him, it might be an auto-include. And this is the difference. This is what I'm trying to sort of differentiate. The difference between an auto-include and an auto-include for that individual. So Brom likes to run intercessors. So the Indomitus Crusaders is probably an auto-include for him because he likes intercessors. It's not an auto-include for any Marine player. And that's the key difference. The Emperor's Wrath Tank Company, Brandon Grant seemed to get great use out of it. It's arguably an auto-include for him.
Yeah.
It's not an auto-include for every guard player.
No, that's right.
And whilst we're in that state, that it's not an auto-include for everybody, I think they're good. I think I welcome them. They add some narrative punch to a particular list.
Yeah.
They allow you to do things a little bit differently to how someone else does it, but they're not auto-includes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think it's just nice that you can add a bit of punch to a narrative idea. You can go down a narrative route and you might get a bit of extra competitiveness in a normal kind of game, not a tournament. top echelon kind of game, but in just a normal average game with your mates.
Yeah.
Gives you something else to try, and it might give you a bit of an edge in a certain area. So I think it's good.
Ganon Dalf from Discord says the Gene Stealer Colts ones are auto-includes in his opinion. It's hard for me to judge those because I don't know squat about Gene Stealer Colts.
Same.
I've got Andy Byrne coming down to the studio on Thursday to film a battle report for DZTV, and I'm contemplating asking him to bring Gene Stealer Colts purely because I haven't got a clue what they do or how they work.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a good giggle for him to bring them and for us to have a bit of a punch up.
Yeah. I was just looking at them briefly. I'm not going to go into this because I won't know what the hell I'm talking about. But
does that say anointed thong?
Throng.
Oh right, okay. So they got the anointed thong.
Their stratagems are pretty cheap. The anointed throng's got a 2 and a 1.
The warlord trait gives rerolls to charges for acolytes and neophytes. Yeah, I can see how that's good actually.
Yeah.
I can see how that's very good as a warlord trait, and that's the thing that people seem to be missing as well. I think
actually it's adds 1.
Oh, does it? Oh, that's not so good then.
Yeah. So the anointed throng add 1's charge rolls for your warlord and friendly anointed throng units that are within 6 of your warlord when the roll is made.
Do you know the one I'm most excited to try at the moment?
Go on.
The Host Raptoral.
You want to do the raptors, don't you?
I really love the idea of having Harken Wellclaimer and then 3 units of probably 2 Warp Talons and 1 Raptors or something like that in a spearhead. Not a spearhead, sorry, outrider.
Yeah.
And coming in and having the +2 to charge ranges for Warp Talons and just smashing into the enemy whilst you've then got first company Terminators for
just for shits and giggles, because it's still going to be pants.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be all that great. I haven't covered it in great detail, the Host Raptoral. I don't think, have I?
Well, if you're excited, you talked about it a bit, didn't you?
Oh, no, I have, yeah. So, okay, we did. So, the Vicious Descent one, which is where you do it at the end of your movement phase rather than at the end of your charge phase, it's not that great. Reroll on hit rolls. Terror Strike's okay. The Chippertritrin Rings, roll D6 for any models that you fly. Chippertritrin Wings. Basically, it's a jump pack that you give your character, and on anything you fly over on a 4+, they suffer D3 more wings. That's all right.
Yeah.
But I just think it's really cool because I like Raptors and Warp Talons, and I think Raptors and Warp Talons are amazingly cool units. And I had Warp Talons back in 7th edition, because I loved them and I kept playing them, and they were shit then as well.
Yeah, fair enough. I should just apologise, Gandalf. He's talking about the Brood Surge, and he is indeed correct.
Oh right, okay.
You can re-roll advanced rolls and charge rolls for friendly Deliverance Brood Surge units that within 6 of your warlord when the roll is made.
Naughty Mikey P.
Naughty me.
Okay.
I've corrected myself.
So on the whole, I'm going to go on camera as saying categorically that I haven't got a problem with any of the formations I've read so far in either of these books.
Yeah.
I think they add some flavour and maybe, exactly like you said, a degree of punch to something that you would probably otherwise have taken anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily encourage you to take something you wouldn't have anyway, which is important.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to take it, you're going to take it anyway. Yeah. And they give you a little bit extra.
I think
the only one that's absolute dog toffee in my opinion is the Fallen Angels one. I think that's crap.
Oh really?
Yeah. Do you know the biggest reasons why I think it's crap?
Why?
Because one of the newest things they brought out is the Beta Bolter discipline, right?
Yeah.
Which everybody has literally agreed that it was needed for Marines to give them some extra punch.
Yeah.
So the Fallen Angels. Use this stratagem when choosing your army. You can include sorcerers and chaos rhinos in a vanguard detachment that includes only fallen units. If you do so, they replace their Mark of Chaos, Heretic Astartes, and Legion keywords with the Imperium and Fallen keywords. Fallen sorcerers also replace their Death to the False Emperor ability with a Fallen Angel's ability from the Fallen data sheet. Pick a Fallen detachment, blah, 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 blah. Fallen units in this detachment gain the You lose your Heretic Astartes keyword.
You lose Beta Bolt Discipline.
You don't gain Deptus Astartes.
Unlucky.
You just lose Heretic Astartes. Equally, they go, oh great, we can take Chaos Sorcerers. 3 of the Chaos Sorcerer powers affect Heretic Astartes units, and you've just lost the keyword.
The I don't know about the Chaos Powers thing, but the Bolter Discipline thing, I think that might get FAQ'd because that's probably just an oversight.
I think it's 100% oversight.
Yeah. So.
The only good thing they've got is the ability to shut down enemy stuff. Have you heard this?
No, go on.
Agent of Discord. This model Chaos Rhino Cypher. If Cypher is included in a Fallen Angel specialist attachment, he gains the following ability. Agent of Discord, not our Discord,
No.
but just the Agent of Discord. Enemy units within 12 inches of Cypher cannot use any abilities, wardle traits, or relics that allow them to gain, return, or refund command points. The range of this ability is increased to 18 inches while there are 10 or more other friendly fallen angel models within 12 inches of Cypher. The range of this ability is instead increased to 24 inches when there are 20 or more other friendly fallen angels within 12 inches of Cypher. It's not horrendous, but I quite like the fact that the command point farming, no.
I mean,
if command point farming was still as bad as it was in the past, that's probably huge.
Do you know what? That's an ability that shouldn't be on them. It should be on someone else. I mean, I suppose for narrative reasons you might be able to argue it, but that's pretty useless for them, I would say. Whereas it might be useful for something else.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just so situational there.
I don't think anyone who's going to run anything other than a fallen detachment on purpose because they like the fallen is going to benefit from. No one's going to go, I might pick that detachment now. So
a bit weird one. Also, I wonder if that was written pre-nerf to the command point reroll.
Probably. But I do think that on the whole, for me, they don't break the game. They do add a layer of complexity. What I love about them is because for me they're not auto-include. It means you don't have to take them, so you won't necessarily miss them if you don't use them. I can build an army, and I can have in mind a set of these formations to use, and I can go to Winter's house to play on DZ or whatever, and he can say I don't want to use them, and it won't necessarily have a massively negative effect on my army by not using them.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I mean, you know, you'd want to have that conversation beforehand. You wouldn't want to turn up with a Yandan, Wraith host and then be told that you can't.
But this is what I'm saying. This is a massive difference to 7th edition, for example.
Yeah.
Because if you turned up to 7th edition and said, "Here's my formation," and he went, "I'm not happy with use formations," and you then couldn't fit it in your combined arms attachment, you couldn't play it.
Yeah.
With this, you can turn up with it, be told we don't want to use formations here, and it doesn't. It will negatively affect your list in the fact that you'll lose some abilities that you had obviously planned for, but you can still play your list. Okay, and I don't think they're turbo broken. A lot of them seem to be driven by narrative. And they're driven by, let's make this unit act like this unit should a little bit more than it already does.
Yes, I agree with you on this. I think the only thing I would say is that we have very lightly skimmed. I mean, this is the most that I've looked at this book. So I've no doubt that some, some tournament cheese players are going to go through this and find something broken and use it, and to great effect. But I think for the majority of normal games outside of that sort of tournament environment, it's just going to be a bit more fun. Okay,
and that's one of the reasons why I wanted us to just skim them before tonight. Yeah. So people there's been comments already, I've seen in the chat, guys, don't think I miss it, about the lack of necessary professionalism because we haven't researched. But I didn't want to look deep into these before tonight. I wanted to capture our initial reactions.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of going to be how the everyday player's looking at these, in my opinion. You're not going to sit there picking over rule after rule after rule to try and make the most disgusting combo you can if you then want to go to your mate's house and chuck some dice because you probably won't get invited back.
Yeah.
So the idea was to get our initial reactions, go, oh, that looks really good, and actually when you dig into it a little bit deeper like we have tonight, we go, the Simon one looked really good for Shining Spears until you realise you can't use Shining Spears. I won't lie to you, the Cult of Destruction one, I misread it.
Okay.
The Warlord trait says you can reroll ones for wounding. When I skimmed it yesterday whilst trying to make Mother's Day food, I misread it as +1 to wound rolls.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
and I thought, well, actually, if you chuck that on Obliterators with Vets of the Long War, you could be smashing Imperial Knights on 2s consistently.
Yeah.
And I thought that was insanely strong. Now I've come back to it a day later and reread it. It's not that powerful. I still think it's a very good detachment and one of the best ones they've got.
Nothing for Death Guard, mate.
There's nothing for Death Guard, nothing for Thousand Suns.
Petrax, sorry, bud.
But saying that, and this is going to be an unpopular comment, Death Guard and Thousand Suns don't necessarily need the help at the moment.
Yep, agree.
And that's going to... People are going to say, well, hang on a minute, you just spent an hour saying that these are narrative formations that make narrative lists better. They do.
Yeah, but they've got a whole codexes each.
Yeah. Anyway, what it also has done, which is interesting, in Vigis Ablaze, and if I can, I'll talk about Chaos for a brief moment, and I mean a brief moment, I'm not going to go into the rules in depth. They have done something that I didn't necessarily expect, and there's a section at the back that literally says Black Legion, and in this Black Legion section, I'll show it to you on ye oldie camera, Black Legion, and on the Black Legion section, you have a whole page of stratagems that are Black Legion specific, a whole page of relics that are Black Legion specific, a whole page of warlord traits that are Black Legion specific, and 5 of them are really good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they did that. Just for Black Legion.
It's a mini dex, isn't it, really?
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to pick up Vigilus Ablaze. It was a last-minute decision to get this, basically because we said last week we were going to podcast about it.
Good choice.
So I was like, oh, crap, I probably should buy it.
It's fate.
And I'm kind of glad, because that stuff isn't in the Chaos Codex. And we did speak last night about how, last week, about how I was quite excited about the possibility that we're going to amalgamate everything into the new book. They haven't done it. And I don't mind them leaving the formations out. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
but the Black Legion stuff, and there's also 2 other Renegade Warlord stuff in the back. You've got Renegade traits for the Scourge, the Red Corsairs, the Crimson Slaughter, the Brazen Beast, the Flawless Host, and the Purge. Each one of those have got their own trait now, much like World Eaters or Emperor's Children, etc.
Yeah.
And each one has also got their own Warlord trait and stratagem and relic.
I mean, I think
that I don't know why they couldn't just drop those. With the Black Legion, those extra 6 pages in the Codex.
Because they want you to buy Vigilus Ablaze.
But that contradicts their flowchart that said you didn't need to buy Vigilus Ablaze if you were buying the new Codex.
Well, you don't. You don't need to, do you?
You do if you want to run Black Legion, really.
But do you need it for any of the...
Or Crimson Slaughter.
Do you need it for any of the stat sheets? Any of the
No,
slates?
That's true. None of the stat sheets are in...
You don't need to play those units.
You don't need to play those units. You don't need to play one of those Renegade chapters. It's a Renegade chapter. It's a Chaos Space Marine chapter. Why isn't it in the Chaos Space Marine Codex?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I agree with what they've done. I think it's a business idea. I think there's always Black Legion stuff come out as a bad, and they want people to buy Vigilus Ablaze.
Andy Byrne has asked a question that I think I've seen him ask a couple of times already. Is Vigilus Ablaze worth it for the non-Chaos player purely interested in the narrative and the missions? It's a hard one for me to answer because I haven't read the missions yet. The narrative's good. The narrative is a Chaos Space Marine versus Space Marine kind of narrative. It does involve orcs. It does involve Eldar. It's just lots of factions involved. So the narrative is good. I just think that for 25 quid for just the narrative, maybe you're better off borrowing someone's book and reading it.
Yeah.
The missions, I can't tell you about the missions because I haven't gone through them yet. As soon as I go through the missions, I'll give you an update as to whether I think it may be worth it, because there's a whole narrative campaign section, and they've got like a page, for example, that you roll a D3 and events happen throughout the games and stuff.
Cool, okay.
So there's some really cool stuff in there that I'm really excited to bring to the channel and play narrative missions.
Yeah. So like just looking at maybe the contents page, are there many missions listed in there?
In this one?
Yeah. I mean, in here there's 12 narrative play missions, and there's a series of 6 battle zones.
In this one, you've got page 108 to page 119 is the campaign rules. So 11 pages of campaign rules.
Yeah.
Page 120 to 132 is the Crucible of War narrative play missions. Page 134 to 144 is the Echoes of War missions. Page 146 to 151 are the different battle zones you can play across.
Yeah.
Page 152 to 157 is the war zone rules, and then you go into the faction rules. There is loads in this book for that. Whether they are relevant to people, whether they're relevant to people that aren't playing Chaos and Space Marines, I don't know yet. I'd have to read, because it might be that the mission says one player takes Chaos Space Marines and one player takes Space Marines. I don't know. They used to do that years ago in the Altar War missions.
I mean, so Andy's just said Vigilus Defiant missions are cracking. Just interested to see if that continues into the new book.
It sounds like yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like yes, but I don't want to tell you yes and make you go and buy it or suggest you go and buy it until I've actually read them.
Can't tell you about quality, but the volume of the new stuff is similar to the Vigilus Defiant.
The campaign stuff is really interesting for my Eternal Slaughter taking on Brom. And the campaign stuff is also very interesting for the little project that we talked about earlier. No more to be said on that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, that's about that. I think that's quite a nice balance of not just talking about Chaos stuff for a change.
It was, we did pretty well. Talked a bit of Eldar there,
I know, yeah. Well. It was really hard. I love Eldar, but I'm just such a Chaos hype.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway. I told the wife I'd finish about 9:30. I think we're about there, aren't we now?
Ooh, it's not too bad. A little bit over.
We have to keep her happy because it is Mother's Day. We always go a little bit over.
We've got 10 minutes of preambles to do yet.
Thanks, mate.
Post-amble.
I'm glad you're so supportive.
Yeah. You can
anyway,
do it.
that's kind of a very brief overview of Vigis and Vigis Ablaze and Vigis Defiant and Vigis Ablaze and the formations within, and the fact that not necessarily overviewing the formations themselves, but seeing how we think they're going to interact with the game. And I don't think they're going to have a massively negative effect. And the important thing with this is always with this hobby is if you talk to your opponent beforehand and you both know these formations are on the table, then what's the problem?
Yeah.
If you don't talk to your opponent beforehand and he doesn't use the formations and you turn up and you've spunked command points left, right and Charlie to make all three of your brigades different, then maybe you're a bit of a, you know.
And I think with all of these formations as well, it's like one page.
Yeah.
So you get a warlord trait and you get a relic and you get 2 stratagems.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not loads.
That's it. That's all you get.
So
you get a bit more flavour to an army that you clearly like because of the flavour.
And the fact that it's such a relatively small amount of rules and stuff, it means that if you turn up to the table and you say, "Oh, I'm running this, formation from the Vigilus book," you can give it to your opponent. They can scan it in 10 minutes. They can understand it.
Yeah, really easy.
Yeah.
And Winter said he thought it added a layer of complexity. Now, if you're coming to YouTube for the first time and I'm saying to you, I'm using a Black Legion detachment, which means I get this benefit, and I've also got a Cult of Destruction, which means and blah 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 blah. I understand that it could be complex to some people, but I don't see how it's any more complex than saying I've also spent a command point to open the vaults and get an extra relic, and I've also spent another command point to give another Imperial Knight another Warlord trait, and I've also spent. I don't think it's any different to that personally.
In the context of a complicated game, I don't think it is a hugely complicated added extra.
I completely agree with you. But I do. But the other thing is, like I've said, because these aren't auto includes, if you're a new player to the game, you don't have to use him.
No, totally.
You can strip the game back to bare basics and you can learn it. And I think adding this extra layer of minor complexity for the experienced players who are screaming for a little bit more from the game is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I welcome them as long as they stay like they are.
I like.
As long as they stay like they are, I'm more than happy with them. If they start to become auto-include every single player who's got a Marine army's got this specific formation, I'm then dead against it because it becomes too swingy towards being overpowered and something that everyone takes. Yeah. And that reduces variety. Anyway, that's our views on it. So I hope you've enjoyed our sort of ramble about the formations.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, feel free, of course, to chuck a comment in the YouTube comments below and let us know what you think, or on Twitch or wherever. And if we can, we'll try and answer them. It's good to chat to people about what they think, and sometimes you can bring a different viewpoint that me and Mikey haven't quite thought about. So it's really, really interesting. We're getting lots of engagement on the videos lately as well, which is amazing because it's just cool to chat hobby. Yeah. If you want more engagement than just the YouTube comment section, then feel free to come and join us on Patreon. You can get for just as little as $2 a month the chance to access Discord, and that's an amazing community. And there's loads of other stuff you get in there. So Silver will get you now new behind the scenes videos that are happening monthly soon. Gold level gets you the opportunity to come and talk your hobby on a live Skype chat thing that I could then possibly turn into a video if we've got enough for it. So there's lots of extra stuff that we're now chucking out there, which I think is going to increase and improve our community feel, which is really, really cool.
Definitely.
An absolute huge, massive thank you to every single person who bought a raffle ticket for our charity raffle auction.
Yes, huge thank you.
Yeah, £270 raised for Parkinson's UK for Mikey P and Andy Burns' charity 100-kilometre walk that's happening in July. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, every single person. And I must say, one, a huge shout out to Element Games, our sponsor, for supplying the box in the first place.
Yeah.
But two, I now think possibly a bigger shout out for Andy Byrne, who is not only walking but bought 2 raffle tickets and then chucked it back in when he won.
Yeah.
What a legend.
I mean, we kind of made him, but well done.
What we did kind of force him to with that really awkward moment.
I mean, he would look like a proper douchebag if he said, "No, I'm having it."
But what an absolute legend! So well done, mate. That's amazing, and you're fully justified in earning this money for charity. It's amazing. Yeah. So well done. Obviously, the shout out to our sponsor we've already done, so thank you. Everyone, if you've enjoyed this and you like battle reports, not only do we have them on Warhammer on YouTube, but we've also got them on deploymentzone.tv, the big website across the front of the screen. Come and find us. Stick a battle report online every Tuesday, once Mines, once Winters, and we alternate, and it's great fun, and there's lots of good fun games on there, and we are more about the narrative than anything else. That's what we tend to be about. All about the story and having a laugh and having some fun. So come
balls
and join
deep
us.
in the fluff.
Balls deep in the fluff. Can we say that? Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
We've said worse. So thanks very much. If you've enjoyed this on YouTube, feel free to join us on Twitch. Check out the Twitch page, and by the time this YouTube video is up, I will have updated the next few dates for Twitch streams. We'll be moving them to Monday nights. Come and join us on Twitch. Hit follow. It will notify you if you put the little bell on. And you can choose to subscribe if you want. You've got Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free, and it supports the channel. I think that's everything. That was quite a quick preamble, wasn't it, Mikey?
That was good, mate. Yeah.
Frighteningly quick, actually.
Slick.
Obviously, you Twitchers, we will be involved for another 5 or 10 minutes until I mess a raid up. And then we'll be saying goodnight because it's a Sunday night, basically, and you've got work in the morning and I haven't.
Yeah.
But I am working tomorrow night. Sad panda.
Unlucky.
Sad panda. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.
Love you, bye.